Hey, First Things First listeners, it's Ben Verlander, host of Fox Sports' new baseball podcast, Flippin' Bats. Before today's episode, I wanted to share a sneak peek at the latest episode of Flippin' Bats, recorded live from Coors Field in Denver for the MLB All-Star Week. This clip showcases my journey to meet the first two-way All-Star in the history of the game, Angels pitcher and hitter Shohei Ohtani. What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Flippin' Bats with your host, Ben Verlander. We are live here from Coors Field in Denver. The Home Run Derby just finished up. We have an incredible episode for you guys. Today was Media Day here in Denver. We talked to a bunch of players, got a bunch of great content there. Also, I am going to walk you guys through the quest to meet Shohei Ohtani and how it all went down. All right, it is Sunday. We have entered Coors Field for the first time. Today is the Futures game. I know Ohtani's not here yet. We're just getting the lay of the land. Just figuring out our plan of attack. We are here. We are live from Coors Field. Let's go. Hi guys, we're out here on the field. Futures Day. American League team is stretching behind me. Ohtani has not yet showed up, but he will. He's out there somewhere. So I'm on this quest to meet Shohei Ohtani. Give me one tip or pointer. Like, what's something he's interested in that can get me in there, in on his good side?
Clash of Clans. If you know anything about pick his brain on Clash of Clans. There you go.
I'm looking for Ohtani. It is time. It's going to happen. I think that's where we get him. I think we get him right there. I just met Ohtani. My heart is pounding. I've met a million people in my life. None as cool as that. He's Babe Ruth. He's better than Babe Ruth. I can go home. To hear more, subscribe to Flippin' Bats on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. New episodes come out every Tuesday featuring candid one-on-one interviews with players from your favorite MLB teams, as well as talk about the current state of baseball. Now, back to First Things First.
First things first, the Greek Freak playing maybe his best basketball ever. Is he now the favorite to win Finals MVP? Shohei Ohtani, a bona fide star. Is he the biggest attraction in sports today? And LeBron and Chris Bosh. Oh, what a nice embrace at the Space Jam premiere. Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Brendan Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Nick, where were you, like 3 feet to the left? Were you like right in back of them? Had you already walked the red carpet?
Well,
I just want to know where you were at the
Thanks to Colin Cowherd's day off, I had to cancel my flight to LA to fill in for him, so I couldn't go. But more importantly, Jenna, what's on your forehead? What happened? You good?
My forehead? These guys make so much fun of me because I sat down a little bit late this morning. Literally the worst, and it's why we love you, Nick Wright. We start this morning in a very loving way with a story that really should not have been a story. Team USA basketball, once thought to be a lock at this summer's Olympics. Hey, look, now we're not sure. We're not so sure. So many big names on that roster, and yet they've stumbled out of the gate in exhibition play, losing to Nigeria over the weekend and losing again to Australia last night. And that Australia team, led by Joe Ingles and Patty Mills, beating KD, Dame, Tatum, Bradley Beal, a slew of other stars. Team USA head coach Greg Popovich took issue with the reporter's level of concern after the game. Take a listen.
Let me also answer that question. You know, you asked the same sort of question, the same family of question last time, where you assume things that are not true. When you just mentioned, blowing these teams out, that's never happened. When you make statements about in the past just blowing out these other teams, number one, you give no respect to the other teams. And I talked to you last time about the same thing. We've had very close games against 4 or 5 countries in all these tournaments. So the good teams do not get blown out. There are certain games that might happen in one of the tournaments, in the World Championship, the Olympics, where somebody gets blown out. But in general, nobody's blowing anybody out for the good teams. So when you make a statement like that, it's like you assume That's what's going on. And that's incorrect.
All right, Nick, you heard Pop. How worrisome is all this?
Oh, it's more than moderately concerning. And let me defend Joe Vardon, who was the reporter there that was the subject of Greg Popovich's scorn. First of all, you know the most concerning part of that whole little press conference was when Greg Popovich was able to reference Joe Vardon's question from the last time the U.S. lost as a massive favorite 2 days ago. He's like, we went over this 2 days ago. Yeah, buddy, we did. That's why there's the concern here. And credit to Kevin Wildes, who wanted us to talk about the U.S.-Nigeria game yesterday. And I was like, who cares? It was a one-off. It doesn't matter. And then they get beat by the Boomers, who I do think Wildes has a futures bet on for the Olympics. So double credit to him there as well. Listen, part of this is Popovich. The U.S. had lost one exhibition game from 92 to when Pop took over as coach after 2018. From 2019 to now, they've now lost 3 exhibition games. So that's odd and somewhat concerning. Also, in the 2012 Olympics, the U.S. won by an average margin of victory of 32 points. In the 2016 Olympics, the U.S. won by an average margin of victory of 22 points. So yeah, there were a lot of blowouts. And I know folks are going to say, the world's catching up, and that's true to a degree, and that the roster's not that great, and that's true to a degree. But can we show the top 5 guys on these two teams? And you're going to recognize the top 5 Australian guys because they all have NBA experience. If the team on the left were an NBA team, it would probably be the favorite to win the title. If the team on the right were an NBA team, it would be the worst team in basketball. So this should not happen. I don't care about fatigue or lack of continuity. When you've got your Tatum is your worst starter or your 4th worst starter, depending on how you feel about Draymond, and the other team's best starter is Joe Ingles, you shouldn't lose. And so, Brandon, all of a sudden, while I'm not buying Wildes' Australia futures bet, my Slovenia Luka Doncic futures ticket at 56 to 1 all of a sudden feels a little live. So I don't know that the U.S. is a lock for the gold anymore at this point. I think it is somewhat concerning.
Well, listen, I'm kind of torn here. I mean, I go back to 2019, Kobe Bryant saying, look, it's not about the rest of the world catching up to us. It's the rest of the world has already caught up to us for quite some time. And it's on America to embrace that and understand that. And we're going to win some moving forward, and we're going to lose some. That's from the great late Kobe Bryant. That's what he just said 2 years ago. But then when you look at it, Nick, you have a point. Wildes, he has a point. This is reminiscent of the team nightmare. That's what this is reminiscent of. And you know who led that team? Nick Wright's boy, LeBron James, 2004. That was the worst team we've ever seen. And this is close to that. You look at the roster, although I do like the roster, but they really embrace small ball as far as this Team USA team and this roster. But at the end of the day, man, losing 2 exhibition games back-to-back, that is a problem. And like I said, it's reminiscent of team nightmare. We went from dream team to team nightmare to the redeem team, and I don't know what you want to call this. So I'm kind of torn here, Wildes.
Okay, so first let me get out my obligatory Ben Simmons should play on the Boom Squad, and it would help him immensely in his development and confidence if he was with this Australian team. I just want to get that out. I'm never letting it go. It is the right move, and Ben Simmons made the wrong decision. Okay, now that that's gone, I will tell you why I am worried, Nick. All right, Jenna, you know how there's like a HIT workout, H-I-I-T, I think there's 2 I's. I am HIT worried, and here's why. Number 1, H, historical. If we can put up the graphic there, Pep. I know Nick talked about the Olympics. This is the exhibition. So yeah, Pop, like Nick said, and Joe Vardon has a point, we do usually blow teams out historically. So there's a historic reason to be worried. Now time for the I, the intensity. So Pop mentioned we kind of got to get our fitness underneath us. We played good defense in the first half. We played bad defense in the second half. That might be just an effort thing, an intensity thing, because I'm not necessarily buying the fitness aspect, the health aspect, the get our legs under us aspect, because Matisse Thybulle, last time I checked, played a lot of NBA basketball, and this is from our buddy Zach Zeman. Hey, Zach, good news. We're friends now, just because I saw you on a tweet. He said, Matisse had more points than Tatum, more rebounds than Levine, more assists than KD, more blocks than Bam, and a better field goal percentage than Beal. So there you go. So Matisse played plenty, and he's in shape. I don't know why our guys aren't in shape. And then the scariest part, Nick, is what Brandon said. Maybe we just have the wrong team. Maybe it's a personnel issue. And the guys are all great. I know we joke around about Olympic Carmelo, but Carmelo might bring something to this team. LeBron might bring, well, obviously LeBron, but I think the Melo sort of could bring a lot of I was here before. I know the international rules. Hey, guys, remember that it's called goaltending in the NBA, but you can grab the ball. Hey, guys, we got to start fast because there's only 10-minute quarters. So the scariest part is if we have the wrong team and then that we're set up not to medal. So do you think we have the wrong team out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's what I think. I think that there are a lot of factors, right? So if you watch these games, the refs call it totally different than NBA games, and I think NBA guys have maybe gotten used to getting bailed out by the refs, so that's a factor. The cohesiveness of these other teams, that's a factor. I get all of that. But unless you play Slovenia with Luka, you are going to have 4 of the 5 best players on the court, and the best 3 guys on the court are going to be on your team at all times. So you shouldn't lose. So I get the idea the world is catching up. The world as a whole, yes. If it was Team USA, which would probably be the best guys Team USA. LeBron, KD, Steph, Dame, AD, Harden and Kawhi coming off the bench. Exactly, Brandon. Versus the field. Versus Luka, Giannis, Embiid, Simmons, Jokic, Siakam, Gobert. That's intriguing. But that's the whole rest of the world combined into one country or one team versus our team. It shouldn't be these one-offs. But I must do this before we go because Brandon made the scurrilous accusation that a 19-year-old pup, LeBron James, was the leader of the most embarrassing Team USA ever. He was not the leader. That was Duncan and Iverson. LeBron was 19. Now, I will say the unquestioned leader of this team is Kevin Durant, who's now on a 4-game losing streak.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just curious, how much help does KD need? I mean, Dame's there.
You have to figure it out.
Tatum's there. How much help does KD need, buddy?
What side do you want to be on? Are you going to be for KD or not? Every time you get an opportunity to take a shot at KD,
forcing me.
You're taking a shot at KD.
Well,
you live in New York.
Choice.
You live in Harlem. You pass Madison Square Garden to go to Brooklyn, and you go to the games. Are you a Nets fan? You want to be a Knicks fan?
I'm
what do you want to do here,
fan,
buddy?
But
you got to make up your mind.
But I mean, all of a sudden you're bringing up 17-year-old old stuff from 04 about LeBron. I got to just fire the gun where it goes.
We get to watch Team USA, though, back in action tonight. USA takes on Argentina. Let's see if they can stop the skid right there. More exhibition play. Back talking the young guns out west, Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Should the former MVP be worried about the Chargers star? We'll tell you why we're asking next. First things first. Hey, let's play Draw in a Blank. Nick, we're going to talk some Kansas City Chiefs. Because those Kansas City Chiefs have been all the rage the last few seasons. Defending AFC West champs 5 years running. Bragging rights. Why not? So check out this interaction and listen carefully here. From the golf tournament over the weekend, listen to it, between Patrick Mahomes and a fan.
Watch out for Justin Herbert next year. I'll see it when I believe it.
I'll see it when I believe it. I think he meant he'll believe it when he sees it. By the way, Chargers and Chiefs meet in Week 3 and Week 15 this year. So, Brandon, Patrick Mahomes' remarks on Justin Herbert, the old "I'll believe it when I see it and I'll see it when I believe it," are blank.
Right. Listen, well, first off, Nick, you should be concerned. What's going on with your boy? He's twisting his words up. And then also, does he have an eye problem? Like, this is what makes this kid special. He sees the entire field. He can be running right, looking right, throw it left, and it's a no-look pass. So something's off with his eyes. Check his eyes. This is concerning. And why is it concerning? Because they play in the AFC West, and he's seen it up close and personal 2 times a year, twice already. And this kid threw for 4 touchdowns, damn near 70% completion percentage. I would like to say 70. I like to round up. It's really 69%. A passer rating of 113. And it was his first start. Think about that. He was told that he was going to start that game after the medical staff stabbed Tyrod Taylor in the lung. Do you remember that? So your boy needs to check his eyes. He needs to sit down with somebody, see what's going on. Like he's getting his words mixed up. This is concerning for you and your Chiefs.
Okay, that's the worst take of the year. Not concerning at all. And by the way, Jenna and Brandon, he didn't twist any words up. Patrick Mahomes said exactly what he wanted to say. Not he'll believe it when he sees it. He'll see it when he believes it. Meaning he won't see it until he believes it can happen, which you know when that is? Not never. So you know what the right answer is? Undefeated. You know why? Because let's take all the great young quarterbacks in the AFC. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield. You know what they all have in common? They have a weekly conference call to talk. Hey, anyone beat Mahomes yet?
I know.
Oh, no? He's just kicked our teeth in, every single one of us? None of us have ever beaten him. He's undefeated against literally all the young quarterbacks in the AFC. That includes flavor of the month Justin Herbert. So his comments are undefeated. His colloquialisms are undefeated. And his golf, by the way, 385-yard drive in the air, that's undefeated too. What, Brandon? What do you want?
You know what else? Yeah, so you know what else they have in common? They don't have Andy Reid, they don't have Tyreek Hill, and they don't have the greatest tight end ever. So
great.
Take that.
That's great. That. Okay, well, you know what? No, I can't blame Mahomes for where he got drafted to. Also, don't live in Kansas City. Bummer for them. You got to live in Buffalo, Cleveland,
I like Patty.
San Diego.
I like Patty.
Go ahead, Wild.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Patty.
Really nice. They don't play there anymore, but sure. Hey, what is Justin Herbert's record against the Chiefs? He's 1-1. He's 1-1.
I will fight you.
He's 1-1.
I will fight you.
We just collectively erased it from the memory. The guy beat the Super Bowl champs. He's 1-1. 1-1.
No. Mahomes didn't play, you doofus.
I didn't say Mahomes.
He's 0-1 against Mahomes.
They're not called the Kansas City Mahomes.
Against the uniform.
Call the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, they could be. Maybe they should be. Chiefs.
Maybe Dusty's wrong.
Dusty,
pack your stuff up. I'm sorry, Dusty, pack your stuff up.
Tyrod was just stabbed in the lung. You're starting.
Alrighty.
Now go throw
Wilds, what else you got for us?
70% completion percentage. You're starting, Justin.
We are going to take a turn.
Tyrod's going to the hospital.
A little weird and wonderful from our national pastime. The polar bear, I mentioned it earlier, Pete Alonso, went bananas at the home run derby last night. You guys see this? He hit a total of 74. That is insane. It is good enough to win the derby. It is good enough to earn back-to-back titles, and it was awesome to watch last night. Hey, Wilds, buddy, what else you got for us?
Oh, I want to shine the weird and wonderful spotlight on this Pete Alonso's teammate, Dave Joust. Look at this pitch chart. This guy is a fantastic pitcher. He should be everyone's pitcher. Great job. Great job by 64-year-old Dave Joust. He did get a little bit loose. Now, the question is, there's a lot of people saying, not really, that he's right up there with the ace DeGrom. So great job. 2 GOATs on the Mets. So fantastic job. Moving on to the weird. We're going to look at Matt Olson's at-bat. And this fan who gives it his all ends up taking a dive in the outfield. We can't see it. There he is. There he goes. Takes a dive. He's totally okay. He's totally okay. Take a listen to him.
So Matt Olson hit a home run, and it was coming right through here. and I got up and tried to go over the railing to get it, and I dove and I went over the railing and kind of just scraped up my elbow a little bit, just trying to get the ball, but never ended up getting it.
I love anyone that'll keep your mitt on during the interview. Nothing. He got on television.
All that for nothing.
He got his 15 minutes.
He didn't get the ball. He didn't get the ball.
Talking some NBA Finals.
All right, I get it.
I'll send him a ball. After 2 dominant performances, is Giannis now out in front for MVP? To be discussed next. This is First Things First on a Tuesday morning.
Jenna doesn't know what day it is.
Nailed it, Jenna.
7 languages.
Back here with Chris Broussard talking NBA Finals. So many questions coming in. Who will win? Who will take home MVP? All right, not as many questions as I thought. Really just those 2. Fox Bet Sportsbook has CP3 as the favorite to win Finals MVP, followed by Giannis and then Booker, DeAndre Ayton. Both CP3 and Giannis in search of their first title, and MVP would be a sweet compliment to that. So, Broussard, who is the Finals MVP right now? CP3 or Giannis?
Jenna, obviously, Giannis has been the best player. We all can see that. But Finals MVP is not about being the best individual player. It is about what individual contributes the most to his team winning. All right, that's it. It is the ultimate individual/team award. So you must win. That's why it doesn't always automatically just go to the winning team's best player. All right, we saw Cornbread Maxwell, Cedric Maxwell, win it in 1981, even though Larry Bird was on that Celtics team, because Cornbread was more valuable in that series. We saw Tony Parker win it in 2007, despite having Tim Duncan being the best player on the team for the Spurs. James Worthy won it in 1988 with Magic Johnson on his team. It's about who's best in that series as far as helping his team win. The Finals MVP is a celebratory award. So how in the world can a guy from the losing team celebrate losing? You can't do it. I understand Jerry West wanted losing on the losing team in 1969. Here's what happened. That was the first time they ever had a Finals MVP. And the voters didn't really know what they were doing. And since then, they've righted themselves and they've never given it to someone from the losing team. If anyone deserved it from a losing team, it would be LeBron James in 2015 when he averaged 36, 13, and 9. I mean, how you get better than that? But he lost, so he didn't get the award when Golden State beat him. Averaged a triple-double in 2017 and didn't get it. So it has to go to the winning team, and right now that would be Phoenix up 2-1. If it was voted right now, it'd have to be Chris Paul.
100%. I mean, I don't know how you guys want me to follow that up. That's exactly right. I mean, it's obviously going to go to the winning team, and right now it's CP3. I think everybody right now is standing there waiting to give this guy not only his flowers but his NBA Finals MVP trophy. This dude, what he did this year for this organization, it's priceless. I mean, he's taken Devin Booker and helped him go to another level. Ayton, we were looking at Ayton like, all right, he's just a guy. Now he's a bona fide superstar. That's where he's ascending to. And Monty Williams turning him into a coach that we're now talking about. Oh, he's a genius. He's great. But yeah, if the Bucks come back and they happen to pull this off, then of course it's Giannis. It's easy. It's a no-brainer, Wilds.
Okay. So Broussard touched on this, and Brandon, you touched on it yesterday. Broussard touched on the fact that this is an individual award, and it's sort of like it doesn't always go to the best player. Got it. And Brandon, you mentioned yesterday that Devin Booker has struggled since he got his nose broken by Patrick Beverley. Nick, do you think that Devin Booker's terrible performance in Game 3 has eliminated him from MVP conversation? Because I don't. I actually think it helps his case, because this is now part of the narrative. that Devin Booker, rather than just like not talking about it, like, hey guys, I'm out here with a broken face. It's really hard. You wouldn't go to your job at, you know, the podiatrist's office if you had a broken nose. I'm out here having to drive to the hole. Look, I'm taking on a huge burden here. I scored 27 points in game 1, 31 points in game 2. If Devin Booker comes out and has 2 more big games, I think he could go and steal the MVP because it's a narrative award. But he needs to mention publicly that he's, like, you know, playing under duress. Do you buy this theory? You're not going to buy it. You don't like my theories, but it's a great theory.
No, I don't buy the theory, and I take the whole you wouldn't go to your podiatrist's office with a broken nose comment as a not-so-veiled shot directly at me when I've been walking around my entire life with what appears to be a broken nose. I go to work every day with it, so I didn't need that. But somehow, your commentary did not infuriate me as much as Broussard's. Because Chris Broussard came on this television show, a man of integrity, man of God, great father, amazing husband, came on this show and just started making up lies. Chris Broussard, you just decided what finals MVP rules were, and there are none. You're like, yes, I do understand that the first finals MVP ever went to a guy on a losing team, but that's because those folks didn't know what they were doing. Or maybe they knew exactly what they were doing. Maybe they actually got it right. And then you said, well, the history is no one has ever won it since then from the losing team. And you mentioned LeBron in 2015. That voting was 7-4. So if 2 of the Iguodala voters had switched their votes to LeBron, then the precedent would already be set. It's not like a guy on a losing team has never received a vote. Quite the contrary. Just a few years ago, a guy on a losing team came 2 votes away from winning the whole thing. Listen, Finals MVP is an award that, because of the way it is done, it's almost haphazardly put together. You have voted on it, Broussard. You can speak to this better than me. It's like in the waning moments of the final NBA Finals game, it's like, hey, you have a vote, you have a vote, and you can't submit it early because if it's a close game late. There have been some bad ones. In 1970, Willis Reed won it instead of his teammate Walt Frazier. I would argue in 1980, Kareem should have won it, but Magic had that amazing Game 7. I think that Duncan should have won it over Kawhi in 2014. I think KG should have won it over Pierce. But those are teammates, right?
Steph.
There are instances of losing. Yes, Steph absolutely should have won it over Iguodala, but LeBron should have won it over both of them. Jerry West did win it as a losing player in 1969. I think Kareem should have won it as a losing player in 1974. The problem there was Havlicek would have gotten screwed in both instances. Havlicek didn't win it in 69, and then in 74, it's like, wait, we're going to take another Finals MVP from a guy on the winning team. It's the same guy in Havlicek. I think LeBron clearly should have won it in 2015. And right now, it's not close. Right now, it's not arguable. Right now, the best player, the most valuable player, the most dominant player, the guy who, if he wasn't in the series, his team would have lost all 3 games by 40-plus points, is Giannis. So if they lose in 5, then it's not a discussion. Like LeBron was, you mentioned 2017. LeBron was unbelievable in 2017. But his team lost in 5, so he cannot win the award. But if it goes 6 or 7 and the Bucks win and Giannis averages 37 points per game, and Chris Paul, by the way, who has gotten worse in each of these games, averages 18 and 9, it'll be a travesty if someone other than Giannis wins the award. If you want it this way, then make it in the rules. Then Broussard, why is it not in the rules that it has to come from a player on the winning team? Why do they allow you to vote for someone on the losing team? Why? Tell me. I'm not a voter. I'll never be a voter, evidently, so explain it to me.
They can
say that.
They can have, you don't have to make it a rule. It's understood, Nick. And you said I'm making up lies, but you get on here and say LeBron couldn't win it because they got beat in 5. Giannis couldn't win it can't win it if they get beat in 5. Who said that? Where did that that rule come from? If you get swept or beaten 5, so you're making up rules.
Then you're not that valuable. Yeah.
Nick, you know this. In the 70s, the regular season MVP award, when players voted, you had guys winning it when they didn't even make the playoffs. All right, so people, it's understood back then, things were new. Everybody didn't really know what they were doing. They didn't understand the gravity of what they were doing. And now they've righted themselves. It is how in the world can the finals MVP celebrate when he just got beat? You gotta celebrate. Say it with me, Nick. You play to win the game. Period. You have to win to get the finals MVP.
Can I say something real quick here?
And Wilds is right.
Then I'll give it to you,
let me say this quickly. You dismissed Wilds. Wilds is right. Devin Booker is not out of this. He definitely has a shot to win it. I'll give you that.
That's right.
Thank you, Broussard. All right, Broussard,
he
really
needs
quick.
another 2 big
Just
games.
hypothetical, and I know you don't love hypotheticals. If there was an MVP of the Eastern Conference, of just an MVP of the Nets versus Bucks series, suppose that was the finals, wouldn't you give the MVP to Durant in that series, even though Giannis and the Bucks advanced?
Ooh,
Durant,
who was, I'm back with you, buddy.
Hold on. Durant, who was 0 for 6 in overtime? No.
No. Okay, all right.
It's about Brandon. No, it's about W's. He didn't win. Durant wouldn't even want it. I mean, I'm sure
Not
an individual, when they get home, they're like, I was
the
great.
winning side.
I was, but you want to win. There's no way you can celebrate that award if you don't win.
And listen, Broussard, let this. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Broussard, let this marinate for the next 11 hours, and then when your radio show starts, I think you might come around. You keep saying that it is not about that you wouldn't want to celebrate it. What if Finals MVP is not only about the enjoyment of presenting the award, but a historical artifact in time about who the best player in those finals were? And what if it is important for NBA history and for people that love the game to have that be accurate? So if that means there's a slightly awkward award handed in a hallway somewhere, what's more important is that we get it right. In 2015, we flatly got it wrong. It's like you go through NBA history, you're like, Andre Iguodala, he was awesome. Let me look. He averaged 16 points a game. It was his defense. What did the guy do who he was guarding? That guy averaged 36 points per game, but he had to win the award. If Giannis averages 40 in the finals, and we give it to a guy who averaged 18, that in the archives, that's wrong. Who cares if the award presentation is awkward? It's just wrong.
No, look.
But isn't that your argument for the regular season?
Precedent matters, Nick. And it wouldn't be fair to LeBron, to be honest. If Giannis got it this year, and then historically, like 40 years from now, they're saying, man, Giannis won the MVP when they lost. He was that's how great he was. Yeah. What about LeBron in 2015? Look, you look back and say LeBron should have been the first guy since Jerry West to get the award
so Giannis can run. That's fine. It's part of the story.
It wouldn't be fair to
hear more on this. Go to IGTV Live.
We got to set the finals aside for now. I promise we'll have this conversation again. I don't promise, but maybe. We got to talk some quarterbacks. The NFL quickly approaching. Let's discuss who should be the top-ranked signal caller headed into this season. We got a lot to discuss. First things first rolls on a, say it with me, on a Tuesday morning. Back here, first things first, let's talk some NFL quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers may be the reigning MVP, but a number of executives and coaches and scouts and players polled by ESPN gave Patrick Mahomes the nod as the best quarterback in the league. Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady at the top there, followed by Russ, Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Dak, then Lamar, Herbert, and Kyler rounded out. Brandon, let me start with you here. What's your biggest takeaway from this list? Check it out. Look at it. And now look at Patrick Mahomes.
So much action here. Jenna, Jenna, I'm going to take a deep breath before I go out here on this limb.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of arrows coming my way. I can feel it. I see the visualization, like I'm going through visualization right now. I feel it, I feel it, I feel it. Here we go. I'm going to start with the number 4 guy on this list, Russell Wilson. Let's move him up to 1. Russell Wilson, I got your back, bruh. I'm going to finally be the one to do it. Everybody keeps talking about, oh, Russell Wilson's underrated. Russell Wilson's underrated. Let me tell you something. There ain't no qualifiers here because this is my list. And I'm telling you right now, if Russell Wilson had an offensive-minded coach, if he had an offensive guru, offensive coordinator, if he had, what he needed over the last 10 years, this dude would be number 1 and it wouldn't even be close. He's the winningest quarterback through 9 years in NFL history. Think about that. This is a guy that's done nothing but get it done. This is a guy, when a game is on the line, Pete Carroll says, oh, Russell Wilson, take the ball, go get it done for us. This dude is unstoppable. They should run the 2-minute drill the entire game. Don't wait to end the second quarter and going into the locker room and say, okay, here, Russell Wilson, go get us some points. Don't wait to the end of the game and say, okay, Russell Wilson, we're down 3, we're down 6, we need you to go get it done. No, you give that guy the ball right now. You let Russell Wilson cook, and I'm going to be standing here. The arrows are going to come. Patrick Mahomes, he is the baby goat. Patrick. Yeah, I understand Patrick Mahomes is good doing the no-look passes and all of that, and I know I'm ranting right now, and I can go on and on for another 5 minutes, but I'm going to stop, and I'm going to pass it to my buddy, Nick James Wright. And you know it's right, Nick.
Yeah.
You know if Russell Wilson had Andy Reid, if Russell Wilson had an offensive-minded guy on that side, things would be different. Sorry, guys, I got kind of a little excited.
No, let's go.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I had to make sure we were still on air. I was like, are we on here?
A lot of ifs there, a lot of qualifiers, a lot of speculation and hypotheticals. I also have an issue with this list. I have a massive issue with this list. And I almost, for too many ways to count, I'll go as quickly as I can through it. I agree with you, there's a massive issue at number 1. The issue is, and we can leave Brandon up, 36% of the execs, coaches, scouts, and players polled in this did not have Patrick Mahomes number 1. The hell are you doing? This is unanimous. He's number 1. Everyone knows he's number 1. Brandon evidently is part of the executives, coaches, scouts, and players that didn't have him number 1. But Mahomes and Brandon, some people had him ranked 3rd, which is offensive. Now, but I don't want to really argue Russ versus Mahomes because there is better things to argue about here. Can we show that top 10 again? Because I agree with you, by the way, having Russ behind Brady is an absurdity. Like, Russ at worst should be 3rd.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, I get it, but having him behind Brady's ridiculous. Also, anybody else feel like Matt Stafford? Like, whoa. I like the Rams this year like a lot of people do. But that feels a little ambitious. A guy who, while his favorite stat is quarterback wins, he's 39-48 over the last 5 years. And it's like, oh, no. It's all the Lions' fault. Okay, that's fine.
And he had
but they
Megatron.
Were 5-11 last year.
Megatron.
He had Megatron earlier. And Stafford, Stafford's already better than Dak and Lamar. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure about that. But my other issue is at number 10. And I don't want to box Wilds out, but I have to throw this back to Brandon just quickly. What is the argument that Kyler's better than Baker? Someone tell me.
Oh, my goodness.
Someone tell me.
Oh, my goodness.
What is the argument that Kyler deserves that spot, not Baker? Someone tell me. I'm just curious. I'd like to know it. I'd like to know it.
Baker Mayfield put in the box. Hey, don't mess up the game. Kyler Murray taken out of the box and they gave him the ball and say, hey, go win the game for us. That is the difference. That as simple as that, Nick.
You're right, but he didn't win the games for him. He didn't. They missed the playoffs. They had DeAndre Hopkins.
This dude, you see the run?
Larry Fitzgerald.
halfway through the year, we were talking about if he finished the year on this streak, he could potentially be MVP. He started creeping up into the MVP race, Nick.
And Baker ascended. And
we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that.
Go ahead.
I'll try to bridge the divide here because I will not stand for any Kyler Murray slander on this show. You know, check your contract, Nick. I slid it in there as an addendum. You talk to your agent. I got a backdoor in there. So here's the reason. In this article, that Jeremy Fowler did an excellent job. There's a little bit of like a poison pill in here that I want to read to you, Nick, that I think will answer your question and will allow you to be a Kyler fan, which I know you are in your heart, without having to disparage him to move Baker up. Here it is. This is from, I think it's from an anonymous exec or scout. He's very talented. Some of the issues are outside of him. I don't think the Cardinals' style of play is conducive to winning big games late in the season. Nick, you were early on the fact that the Cardinals might be looking at a coaching change sooner than later. It feels like you're not the only one that disagrees with this. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Kingsbury's not a good coach, and I do like Kyler. I just think I think the fact that Baker, it's like, okay, what's Baker's career? Well, he set rookie passing records his first year. His second year, he had the most unqualified head coach in NFL history. His third year, in a brutally difficult division, he leads the Browns to the playoffs, wins a playoff game, almost wins a second playoff game in Arrowhead, and he does it all without his number one receiver for the vast majority of the year. And I think in the final half of the season, through 2 total interceptions, I just feel like, and he was the number 1 overall pick. Right. I feel like he would be getting some of the love that, like, how is that not one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football? So it's not so much about Kyler. It's that Kyler's 10th and Baker should be in the top 10. If they want to slide everybody up, to be honest with you, and just remove Stafford altogether until we see it from Stafford, I'm fine with that. But I think Baker's got to be in the top 10, Brandon. I just do. I just don't see how he's not.
Oh, my goodness. Hush your mouth. Hush your mouth. Come on, no. Then I'm not responding to that. He knows Baker Mayfield's in a box right now. Until Baker's out of the box,
here's something.
It. Go ahead.
I'm going to agree with you, Brandon, but you know what? Let's just move on to wide receivers because I feel like this where you might have even more passion. So Jalen Ramsey ranked his top 3 wideouts at the position. Here's who he had. He had DeAndre Hopkins at 1, Odell at 2, and he had new Tennessee Titan, Julio Jones, it's weird saying that, at 3. Brandon, you think Jalen got this list right? So you got Nuke at 1, OBJ at 2, and Julio at 3.
Look, when I was playing ball, I used to absolutely hate the guys that would come up with these lists, people that would put these lists together and not see the big picture, right? But now I'm on television, and I just got to call it how I see it. And I can understand a little bit how these lists were formed back in the day. So, like, when you think about Odell, I understand it, I get it. But he's coming off an ACL, and he's had 2 down years in Cleveland. It's not on him. It's on the quarterback situation, Nick. It's Baker. Can't get him the ball, buddy. And then Julio. Look, we know who Julio is. He can easily be at number 1. But the production dipped. So with that in mind, he got Hopkins right. Now, there's an argument that there's probably 6, 7 other guys that deserves to be in the top 3. There's so many guys. But here's 3 guys that I'm telling you right now, if you were drafting and you had to pick a dog, these are the guys that can go get it done right now. Number 1, you got to go to Green Bay. Oh, my goodness. This Adams kid is lights out. He can do it all. Inside in the slot, he can play X, he can play Z, the wide side of the field, the short side of the field. He is unstoppable. There isn't one cornerback that can go toe-to-toe with him for 60 minutes. It won't happen. And then Diggs arguably can be the number 1. He is unstoppable. His stop and start, his explosiveness from side to side is out of this world. And he has this deceptive speed to get deep. And he's tough. And Tyreek Hill he is the most underrated wide receiver in the game. When we talk about the top wide receivers, we never mention him. He's always the guy, and me last year, he was always the guy like, who's the one guy I'm missing? Everybody, Tyreek Hill, Brandon, Tyreek Hill. So this is my top 3 right now. But I like Hopkins there for number 1. I'm just trying to give Jalen something to think about. Hopkins, don't get mad at me. I know you've been in your bag. I still got you there. But I want Jalen to think about these 3 as well.
Oh, Hopkins mad at you. It's relationship ruined. Too late. Made a list.
Send him flowers, Brandon. Send him flowers. Our top story this morning.
Everybody gets flowers.
Let's revisit. You get flowers, and you get Team USA basketball. You don't get flowers. We might actually hit the panic button after what we saw in back-to-back exhibition games from you. We'll discuss the big L's that you took next Tuesday morning. First things first. Super excited for tonight's All-Star Game. So many stars will be showcased. Fox's own Ken Rosenthal will be part of our team on the call. We're lucky enough to have Ken joining us this morning. Ken, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I have to start with probably, the human highlight reel the last couple of weeks, and it's been Shohei Ohtani. We're looking forward to him on the mound, looking forward to him at the plate. There's just so much excitement surrounding what he's brought to the game so far. How excited are you to see him on this big stage tonight?
Jenna, I must say, even people who have done it a long time like me, this guy is electrifying to all of us. And it's because we haven't seen this before. Even Babe Ruth, he only did it 1 year, really, at this level. So Shohei Ohtani, of course, this is his first year doing it like this. But just the way he is going about it, it's a much different sport than it was when the Babe played. International players, black players, players that didn't exist in baseball back then. So to see his immense skill and to see the ability, the strength to carry out both at such a high level for such a sustained period, it's kind of jaw-dropping, to say the least. And tonight is the fitting apex of this. He's going to start the game on the mound, and he's going to be the leadoff hitter as well for the American League.
So, Ken, I got to be honest with you, man. It wasn't until the pandemic where I watched that documentary on him where they tracked him back in Japan and his journey to the bigs. And that was the first time I understood how rare he was and how rare what he has been doing is. Is he changing the approach to baseball when you look at a pitcher that can also bat?
Brandon, that's a really good question. And what you're asking is, will there be other Ohtanis? And I'm not sure the answer is yes because of his unique skill set, but we have seen guys, even now in the sport, that can pitch and hit. 2 of them actually are all-stars. Jared Walsh from the Angels was a pitcher. So was Jake Cronenworth for the Padres. But the difference is that one of their skills surged ahead of the other, in their cases, the offensive skills. And at that point, their team said, okay, stick to that. With Ohtani, the key here is he is able to do both at a high level. So no one's saying, I'd rather see him pitch or I'd rather see him hit. He is actually better doing both. I talked to their hitting coach, Jeremy Reed, and he said the fact that he has to go through such a detailed routine each day just to get through the day to prepare for both, it kind of keeps him focused in a way that when he's just doing one, he gets almost obsessive and he's better off kind of multitasking.
Ken, I understand, and deservedly so, Shohei is thus far the story of the season, and he could end up being the deserved face of the league, moving forward. But a guy who might be, to me, just as exciting, but in a different way, is Tatis. I think Tatis is the most electrifying guy in the sport right next to Ohtani. Do you think, and do people around baseball think, Tatis has best player in the world upside?
Absolutely, Nick. And you're right. It's not just Ohtani in the sport right now. There are a host of young players who are electrifying. Unfortunately, one of them, Ronald Acuna Jr., suffered a season-ending injury Saturday night, so he won't be here. But this guy, the guy we're watching right now, what he can do physically is unlike pretty much anybody I've ever seen. And he can contort his body. He can make throws like that. He can do all kinds of things on a baseball field. Right now, 28 home runs, 20 stolen bases. And keep in mind, he's missed 19 games. This could be the first player in history, not necessarily this year, but
50,
down the line,
50.
with a 50 home run, 50 stolen base season. That speaks to his ability. He's got to stay healthy. He has to clean it up a little bit defensively at shortstop. He was really good last year, not so good this year. But my goodness, he is electric, and he's another guy, like Ohtani. When he's on the field, you cannot take your eyes off him.
Well, Jay-Z's going to have to open up a new club, 50-50 club with Tatis there. Ken, what do you think about Aaron Judge batting fourth? At the same time, it feels like the Yankees have sort of like drifted in behind the storylines. Like, hey, remember the Yankees, the old powerhouse? They're in third place now. How do you see the Yankees bouncing back in the second half of the year?
I don't know if they do, Kevin. And they're a team that right now has deficiencies all over the place. We've talked a lot in baseball about their offensive deficiencies. Just their overly right-handed lineup. They're not athletic the way they once were. They are a team that just is flawed in that respect. It's a roster construction issue. They also have questions in their starting rotation. It's Garrett Cole and a bunch of guys who in the second half we're not sure how they're going to perform. And Aroldis Chapman in the closer's role has struggled. So up and down, there are problems on that roster. They have 8 games with the Red Sox coming up pretty much right after the break, 4 and then 4 a little bit later. Those are going to be quite telling for them and to see what they do at the trade deadline. But right now, it seems every time they take a step forward, they had a big step forward Saturday with that Garrett Cole master performance. Then they take a step backward with the Altuve game on Sunday. So it's difficult to see them right now being a playoff team. It can change, but I'm not feeling it.
I'm with you, Ken. Remember, you and I, we go way back. You and I used to stand on that Yankee Stadium, and we'd be able to write the game before it even started, win, and then we could go home. It was like a no-brainer, and now I can't even get through a game. They stress me out. The other player who gets me so excited, who has gotten me so excited, Nick loves Tatis. Brandon's been on Shohei. Jacob deGrom's been really fun to watch. What are people saying about the first half he's had?
It's historic, Jenna. There's no question about it. And except for a couple of physical hiccups, it has been one of the most brilliant first halves we've ever seen from a starting pitcher. And he also is a guy that is seemingly immune to this foreign substance issue. It seems that he wasn't using them, one of the few.
Yeah.
So here's a guy dominating at a level we haven't seen since Bob Gibson in 1968. There has been talk he could get his ERA under 1 for the season. That's unheard of in this sport, in this era. So, yes, he's been absolutely dominant. The only question is health. We all want to see him healthy. At times this season, it has looked like men against boys with him on the mound. And that is, in this sport, it's like any other sport. These are the best players in the world. And for one guy to be that dominant, it's just stunning.
Can we stay on DeGrom for a moment? Because I see the numbers. And I understand he's got 3 pitches. He pitches them all at a 9.5 out of 10 or higher. I get that. But the numbers are so out of whack compared to Apex Pedro, Apex Maddox, Apex, like, what? Why is he this good? I know that sounds dumb, but like nobody should be this much statistically better than some of the best seasons we've seen recently. So what is happening here?
Nick, that's an entirely fair point. And Apex Pedro was pretty darn good, as was Apex a few other pitchers. But Pedro's the guy that stands out for me. And with DeGrom, over the years, his velocity has improved, which is rare in a pitcher. He's throwing 99 regularly. He also has improved his command. He is able to seemingly put the ball where he wants it with all of his pitches. And that, when you add that all up with his competitiveness, one of the most competitive guys out there, it all just is a perfect package. And that is what has happened. The other thing that is so unique about him is the elasticity of his body. He has been relatively healthy over the years because he's this athletic, whippy guy, and it seems to come easy for him. So I don't know if this continues the whole season. It's hard to imagine it continuing the whole season, but I will say this. It was hard to even imagine it for a half a season in this day and age when guys are swinging for home runs and connecting often. And yet he is, like you said, above all of those guys. Context stats, when you look at them, and it's happening. It's happening on a nightly basis when he's on the mound.
It's remarkable.
Ken, I'm jealous. You've got a great assignment tonight. Enjoy the All-Star Game. Again, the broadcast 7 p.m. Eastern only on Fox. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you soon. Have fun tonight.
Thanks, Jenna.
We are going to take a turn. You got it. Back to the NBA Finals. After 2 dominant performances, is Giannis Antetokounmpo the front runner for MVP? We dive into that next. First things first.
The Greek, the freak.
Tonight, it's finally here, the All-Star Game. Look at those faces. Judge, Tatis, Ohtani, just to name a few. They all face off in a mile-high midsummer slugfest from Coors Field in Denver.
Finish it for me, Jenna.
2021 MLB All-Star Game, presented by MasterCard. What's that? Tonight at 7 Eastern, only on Fox. Get excited.
Shohei.
Brandon's guy.
Shohei
Ohtani. David Ortiz putting his money on the line on the Fox Bet Super 6 app. Shohei, the money. It's free to play, so download the app and answer 6 questions about tonight's MLB All-Star Game for your chance to win $10,000 of Big Papi's money. Oh, there's a whole Jerry Maguire thing we're doing here. All right, time now for stories to start your morning, brought to you by Subway.
Wilds and
Just
I
me.
are
I'm the
sitting
only
it
one.
out.
Just Brandon and I.
Just you and Brandon. You and Brandon.
Brandon! I'll take pairing up with Brandon any day. Let's talk some quarterbacks, buddy. Aaron Rodgers may be the reigning MVP, but a number of executives and coaches, scouts, players, even Nick, not really, polled by ESPN, gave Patrick Mahomes the nod as the best quarterback in the league. Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady at the top. Check out the list, followed by Russ, Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, and then you got Lamar, Herbert, and Kyler rounding it out. Brandon, I'll start with you. What is your biggest takeaway from this list?
Oh my goodness, Patrick Mahomes at 1. I mean, we're talking about a dude that can throw it from all angles. We've been talking about his arm talent for how many years now? 3 years now? Dude throwing no-look passes, running right, throwing across field, 60-yard dimes, running left, throwing across field, 50-yard dimes. You see Tyreek Hill lined up in the slot, that 3 position, taking off, outrunning everybody, and he throws it perfectly over 2 defenders. Oh my goodness, how can you go against Patrick Mahomes? I'm about to go out here on a limb right now, and I can feel it. I see everybody's going to be arrows coming my way. Brandon Marshall, what did he say? How could you say that? You played 13 years in the National Football League as a wide receiver. If anybody knows quarterbacks, you should know quarterbacks because you had 18 of them. So here's what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson should be number 1. Russell Wilson is number 1. There's no qualifiers. This is my list. This is my list. He's number 1. And this is why. Think about if you took the most winningest quarterback through 9 years in NFL history and you moved him in a situation with an offensive-minded coach. We're talking about a guy who does nothing but win. We're talking about a guy that Pete Carroll, year after year, has said, hey, it's the end of the half. We need points. Russell Wilson, go get it done for us. And he gets it done. 2-minute drill. Nobody operates the 2-minute drill better than Russell Wilson. The end of the game, we're down by 3. We're down by 6. That is their strategy. We just got to keep it close. Because guess what, baby? Guess who we have on the side? We have number 3 on the side. And guess what he's going to do? Every time you give him the ball, he's going to deliver. You know what the game plan needs to be, Wiles? The game plan needs to be no offense, no game plan. Let Russell cook. Let him call it at the line. Peyton Manning style. That's what we need to do. So all this talk about Patrick Mahomes, I love you, Patrick Mahomes. You are different. The baby GOAT. You're going to win multiple Super Bowls. But I'm telling everybody right now, if Russell Wilson had an offensive-minded coach, or hell, you give him Josh McDaniels type boy genius around offense, this would not even be a conversation. Point blank, period. And everybody knows it. For the past couple years, everybody keeps saying, oh, Russell Wilson's underrated. Russell Wilson's underrated, but they're afraid to go out there and say that. Yes, everybody keeps saying it. You call it. Everybody says the most underrated quarterback.
Correct. Yeah, he is underrated, and now Brandon has overrated him. So you're underrated to overrated. So here's the thing, Brandon said, oh my goodness. Brandon said, what would happen if you just let Russ do his own thing? Well, let's see. Weeks 4 to 14, Russ, do your own thing. Cook. 12 interceptions in those 10 weeks. Patrick Mahomes, 11 interceptions.
Anomaly.
In the last 2 years. 2 years versus 10 weeks. Oh, what would Russell Wilson do if he had a great wide receiver like Tyreek Hill?
Goodness.
Let me introduce you to DK Metcalf. He's right there. He seems pretty good. What if he had a great number 2? Hey, Tyler Lockett. How's it going? Had good running backs throughout his career. So listen, Russ is great. And can we show not Brandon's list, but the actual the list that this is based on? I think Russ should be higher. I think Russ should be ahead of Tom. And I think you could argue Russ should be ahead of Aaron. To me, Patrick Mahomes, who has the best winning percentage of any quarterback ever, the highest quarterback rating, best touchdown interception ratio, every career stat basically that he's eligible for, he is the best of. I'm going to put him at number 1. But I have other problems with this list. And as much as it bothers Wilds when he sees people on TV with uncoiffed hair, it bothers me when I see these stupid lists that people get wrong. Let me count the ways this list is wrong. Russell Wilson is underrated on this list. I agree, but but not because he should be number 1. Also, hey, I'm high on the Rams this year as well. Can we pump the Matt Stafford breaks just a bit? And can we find a more flattering headshot? He looks like he's on the Big Ben workout plan in this headshot. What's going on there, buddy? So I don't love that. Also, I do feel like there is a little Ryan Tannehill erasure going on here. Ryan Tannehill's like, guys, I put up like a 115 quarterback rating every year. We go to the playoffs. The team's good. I don't even get votes. And then lastly, where's Baker? Did Brandon Marshall himself make this list? Goodness. Where's Baker Mayfield? Hey, wins a playoff game, sets records as a rookie, wins 11 games last year. I'd like to see Baker involved. So there's a bad list. Anonymous coach, executives, scouts, players, they did a terrible job. They didn't consult with me, who's the sports list czar, so that was their first mistake, Wilds. But it has the bones of a decent list, but a lot of really big errors. Yeah. A lot of big errors on this list.
All right. I personally like
double coverage.
Can I show the list again, Brandon, because I want to ask you about something. I'm going to divide the list into sort of 3 groups. Group number 1 would be, hey, we're ascending. We would be happy to make it to the Super Bowl. That is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'd be happy to make it to the Super Bowl. Then you got Mahomes and Brady, who were just in the Super Bowl. They expect to win it, but they seem generally happy with your team. And then you got Aaron Rodgers and Russ, who feel like they've both got 1 Super Bowl ring. It feels like they really, really want another one. And they're not sure if their front office is putting them in a position to get one. Now, Aaron Rodgers, we don't even know if he's going to put on a Packers jersey. Russ was a lot of drama that you were reporting on, and it seemed to tamper down.
Yep.
Are you confident that the little brush fire that we had with Russ in the offseason is totally put out? 100%, we're not going to see any little flare-up. Or do you think, as I think, that if this season doesn't start off well, if it doesn't end well, if the middle part doesn't go well,
that it starts
Russ is going to sit back and say, you know what? I was right. I was right. This is not the place for me. Time is getting shorter. I'm not going to play forever. I need to make a move.
Right. So here's the deal. Nothing's 100% in the National Football League because it's a $16 billion industry. So nothing's 100%. You never know what can happen one week to the next. But as far as Russell Wilson, he's happy there. All Russell Wilson wanted was what Aaron Rodgers has. And what is that? A seat at the table. Aaron Rodgers has an offensive-minded coach. He had one before. Now, did he get stale? Absolutely. That's all Russell Wilson wants. He wants the ball in his hands. I can assure you this. That type of guy with that mindset, let's say they start off 0-4, 0-5, which they won't because it's Russell Wilson's Pete Carroll. We're talking about 2 legends, they're Hall of Famers down the road. If they start off 0-4 and Russell Wilson is cooking, Nick, like if you gave him the pots, the pans, you gave him everything he needed in the kitchen, then he's going to stand up and say, that's on me. He's not going to run out of town. He's not going to try to do something else. Where Russell Wilson's going to say, I got to be better. But here's the thing. I want to push back on Nick because, Nick, you said something. Oh, Russell Wilson. Yeah, we know you you were leading the discussion around MVP. Then you had this 3-4 game stretch where you threw so many interceptions. Brother, it's because he started to overcompensate for Pete Carroll in that horrible defense. They were historically bad. What they were giving up 300, 400 yards in offense a game. So he was out there pressing. I remember having a conversation with Russell when I was there, and I was like, hey, man, this is your MVP year. This was back in, 2018. This is your MVP year. He said, Brandon, that's not the mindset. Like, you just got to stay locked into the day. What you saw Russell Wilson doing last year, start to overcompensate and try to do too much. He tried to go get it. That's what he tried to do, Nick.
Mahomes has no idea what it's like to have to play with a bad defense. Who knows what Mahomes would look like if they had a bad defense. He throws for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. We've seen it.
We gotta go.